$1,000 worth of crypto, that's less than 1% of Wikipedia's revenue, was donated in the last fiscal year. Yet Wikimedia, the nonprofit foundation behind Wikipedia, doesn't want it. They're now banning cryptocurrency donations following a 3-month debate in which the environmental impact of Bitcoin was a major discussion point. Joining us now to break this down is Molly White, a Wikipedia contributing editor who proposed this measure. Welcome, Molly.
Hi, good morning.
So great to have you on the show. Really looking forward to hearing your perspective. I just gave a very broad view of what happened, but could you just break down for us, the internal debate about this and kind of what was the main reason that Wikimedia decided to once and for all cut off cryptocurrency donations?
So the Wikimedia community had a discussion that ran for about 3 months on whether or not to continue to accept crypto donations. There were sort of a handful of reasons that we were considering it, partly that we worry about sort of such a major nonprofit signaling endorsement of something like cryptocurrency. Also just concerns around environmental sustainability and the risk of reputational damage in accepting crypto. And so after those 3 months, the community submitted a request to the Wikimedia Foundation asking them to no longer accept cryptocurrency donations.
Interesting. So I guess just to put this in a larger context, has Wikimedia done this with any other types of currency? Like, for example, you're talking about you don't want to accept cryptocurrency because it's seen as kind of like an endorsement of some aspects of crypto that you don't like. But, are there, for example, right now, Russia is quite controversial in the world for obvious reasons, the war in Ukraine. Would Wikimedia still accept rubles, for example? And the reason I'm asking this question is just to see if like, where do you draw the line, right? Like when you're accepting a currency, does that mean you are endorsing whoever backs that currency?
So typically the Wikimedia community hasn't had a ton of input as far as which currencies are accepted for donation. But the Wikimedia community was the one that initially requested that the Wikimedia Foundation begin accepting cryptocurrency. And so it sort of felt within our remit to request them to stop. But again, decisions around whether to accept the ruble and things like that are largely left up to the Wikimedia Foundation. And it was the Wikimedia Foundation who ultimately made the decision here.
Kind of to that point, though, speaking of Russia, you have a lot of people who maybe don't agree with their governments. They don't agree they want information out there, public, knowledge. That the basis of what Wikipedia is all about is spreading knowledge far and wide. And of course, there are some governments that don't want it. For some, and I'm sure it's just even a tiny fraction of that $180,000 that were donated. The only method by which they can donate to the foundation is through crypto. I mean, how would their voices now be addressed? How would their situation now be addressed?
So the question of whether or not someone can donate to the Wikimedia Foundation has no bearing on whether or not they can access the information that we provide or participate in the community as far as decision making. There were some concerns during the discussion around sort of allowing anonymous donations or, donations from people who are worried about the privacy impacts of donating via more traditional means. But largely the payment processor that the Wikimedia Foundation has been using for so many years required basically KYC anyway. And so people were not already particularly able to donate very anonymously with cryptocurrencies in the previous setup.
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand that one of the sticking points was the energy consumption of proof of work algorithms and cryptocurrencies. And so to that, I wonder, what's the difference between the energy that the internet uses versus Bitcoin's energy consumption? What is the carbon footprint of Wikipedia for that matter? And I wonder if that ever filtered into the conversation.
Yeah, it did. And, the Wikimedia communities value environmental sustainability, and there's sort of been a constant pressure on the Wikimedia Foundation to make sure that we are sticking to that. My personal opinion on that is that the energy that's being used to, run Wikimedia servers or by individual editors is going to a more productive use than the energy that's being used by Bitcoin, although I understand that proponents of Bitcoin would disagree with me on that. But for me, Bitcoin feels very wasteful energy-wise, and the same does not ring true to me from around the Wikimedia server space.
From what I understand, you're very much against Web3 in general, and so maybe you can elaborate on why. And do you see any use for Web3?
Yeah, I mean, I have big questions around whether sort of the future of the web can realistically be based around blockchains. It doesn't strike me as a particularly sort of useful technology to underpin the future of the web, and I have major concerns around sort of the predation that we're seeing in that space. I personally don't believe that the future of the web should be more financialized and sort of more tokenized, as proponents of Web3 would suggest.
Molly, I want to question. I have a question more on Web3, but before we get to that, I do want to ask: is there any possibility? This is a blanket ban on crypto. Is there any possibility that would be reconsidered when it comes to, say, proof of stake coins and things that are low energy coins and more, not as environmentally, shall we say, destructive as Bitcoin? Is that something that would be reconsidered, or is this just it's a blanket ban because you guys just don't like what crypto is about?
So the decision that just happened is a blanket ban, although I think, as with everything in our community, it's always open to be rediscussed if things change. But there was discussion during this request for comment around whether or not we should specifically accept proof of stake currencies rather than the proof of work ones. But there was not a whole lot of appetite for that, largely due to belief that sort of the entire crypto space suffers from the same predatory issues as proof of work. We're also receiving just such a low number of donations via cryptocurrency as it is today that personally, I think that the engineering effort that would be required to suddenly move to a different system that would accept proof of stake currencies would just not be economically reasonable. The existing payment processor that we were using was not accepting particularly many.
So Jack Dorsey, getting back to Web3, Jack Dorsey has criticized Web3 as basically centralized and controlled by VCs. Can you add to that? Is that something that you've expressed a lot of concern about Web3? So can you elaborate more on this idea of centralization in that space?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's wrong. I think there's a lot of talk among proponents of Web3 that it will sort of democratize the internet and, reduce the amount of decision-making power that is currently given to large tech companies. But in practice, it feels like that has not been the case. We've seen those same large tech companies jumping into Web3, the same venture capital firms pouring just a ton of money into the space. And it seems unlikely to me that those groups would be so eagerly participating in Web3 if they also believed that Web3 was going to be taking the power away from them or, distributing money out of their own hands.
So I think the question is, there's a lot of very reasonable criticisms one could make of Web3, but what are some of the solutions that you're proposing? Because I think, whether we like it or not, cryptocurrency is here. I don't think the industry is going to disappear anytime soon. So what are some of the practical things one could do in order to reduce some of the harms that you are seeing that the industry is causing?
Well, I mean, personally, I feel like the best way right now is to not engage with cryptocurrency at all. So just I don't invest in it. I don't participate in Web3 projects. More broadly, I think that, regulation will probably come in and make the space a little bit safer for people who do choose to engage with it. But my belief is that sort of those goals that are described by Web3 proponents around, democratizing the internet and removing power from major tech companies, there are a lot of reasonable goals there. I just particularly believe that those goals will be achieved outside of cryptocurrency, not with cryptocurrency.
The thing is, the same arguments were made for Web 2 in the beginning, that Web 2 would be a forum for freedom of speech. It would give people access to more information around the world. And then in the end, we saw that it's centralized to a couple of companies that ended up controlling a vast storage of people's data. And you could say that, Web3, they have similar ideals and they're trying to go that way, but you think that Web 2 is perfectly fine?
No, I have major concerns with Web 2, and I've sort of not been quiet about those. But, I actually agree with what you just said, that, Web 2 had major talking points in similar with Web 3 around, creating community and, ownership over one's data. And that didn't turn out to be true. And I don't know why people are expecting it to be true with Web 3. I don't think that the solutions to the problems that we're seeing in technology can be solved solely with technological, developments like blockchains. I think that, the solutions to these problems are going to be social and political change.
Molly, who do you feel like you are, you've written a lot about this. Who do you feel like your target audience is? Are you sort of trying to address people who just kind of are debating whether or not to get into cryptocurrency? Are you talking to people more inside the industry? And I'm also curious, what the reaction has been. I mean, just anecdotally, my observation is that people in the crypto industry don't always love criticism. So I'm curious, A, who you're addressing, and B, what kind of reactions you've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, I think I largely target people who are still learning about the space and who are forming their own opinions. It's hard to change people's minds once they're really bought in and sort of gung-ho about crypto. But, I hope that people in that demographic who are reading my work are considering what I have to say. I would agree that, criticism is not always taken well among people who are very invested in crypto. So I've definitely faced some hostility from those folks. But I think there are also a reasonable segment of people who are engaging with crypto, but are willing to consider, criticism, which I think is a healthy thing for any technology.
So, nobody likes to end conversations on a down note. So, what things are possible that you are very positive about? Projects, et cetera, developments that you see are for the good, or do none exist, or few exist?
Like I said, I think a lot of the goals with Web3 are very admirable, and I'm excited that people are talking about them. So, things around community self-governance, projects that are working towards social good. What's that?
Any specific ideas or specific things that you could list, or you think are generally positive developments?
Yeah, I mean, so again, it's the goals that I'm sort of excited about rather than the ways that people are actually working towards those goals. But, projects like Gitcoin have, admirable goals around funding open source, and I hold those same beliefs. Again, I don't believe that crypto is the way to do it, and so I don't particularly like how Gitcoin is going about it, but I am pleased to see that people are focusing on those things, and I hope that continues regardless of what happens with crypto.
What about just as a more efficient type of digital currency that can be transferred from a country to a country on a digital ledger? I don't know. Do you just don't see the value of that?
I see the value of digital currency. I don't see the value of cryptocurrency. And I largely don't believe that cryptocurrency functions well as digital currency.
All right. Well, thank you, Molly, for joining us. Appreciate you coming on the show. That was Wikipedia contributor Molly White. Coming up, we've got a crypto markets update with crypto exchange Cross Towers Kapil Rathi. All right, let's have a live look at Bitcoin right now. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index currently at $38,449. Bitcoin sliding back about 0.6%. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index at 2838, rising about just over 1%. And the DFX CoinDesk DeFi index right now at 206, up about almost 4% for the day.
The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem.
Sleeper markets, but will it last? Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Crosstower CEO and co-founder Kapil Rathi. Welcome back, Kapil.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. As we said earlier, it's been a very soft market, if you will. It's been very. April has been terrible for Bitcoin. It's not, or at least not great. It's down. Was it 14%? It was down in April. And the past year, obviously, it's down, and it still seems to be relatively range bound. What is, first of all, is that a problem? But second of all, what is the reason why we're not seeing the kind of movements, the volatility, if you will, either on the upside or on the downside that we were all used to just a few months ago?
Yeah, I think, and you sort of touched upon it at the start of the show. It's we're dealing with a lot of macro trends here, and the Fed tightening policies, especially in the tech sector, we technically have entered into a bear market. Nasdaq is down about 20% from its peak in November, and the issues, the macro issues, whether it's Ukraine war, global supply chain issues, and inflation that's affecting every other country, is leading Fed to tighten its policies. And in time like these, risky assets generally don't perform well. One can argue crypto is pretty much in the same categories that tech has in terms of the risk. We're just seeing sort of macro pressure on techs and cryptos at the same time.
For a long time, Bitcoin wasn't, or at least was perceived to be uncorrelated or low correlation with the tech market, with the tech sector, with stocks. Now we're seeing, as you said, it's increased. What do you think is driving that correlation that didn't exist before? Do you think that they're because there are more institutional players in the market and they're viewing Bitcoin as part of an overall portfolio in a way that they would view other risk-on assets, or is there something else involved here? Is there another reason why we're seeing this correlation?
Yeah, I kind of attribute it to two factors. One is what you state. We all been preaching about institutional adoption of crypto, and that has happened. So now, as Fed is tightening its policies, shrinking its balance sheet, that credit is sort of kind of getting sucked out of the market. That's affecting all stocks and crypto, all asset classes. And then the second is volatility. I think Bitcoin and some of the crypto, the leverage in this space has always been a big factor on the volatility. And as the credit is being sucked out of the market, the appetite for that leverage goes down. So we're seeing more sort of calm market. With that, I must note, we just recently launched our futures market, and we are seeing some interesting positions that are being taken in that. It seems like the traders are positioning for some long volatility coming in next 2 to 3 days. All eyes are on Fed announcement. We're expecting a 50 basis point move, which is priced in. But any statement that will come out of Fed could lead to volatility, and we may see some swings in the market.
Anything you're noting in the altcoins in particular?
Yeah, so I think in general, there are some specific actions with Solana outage that had some pressure on Solana. Ape is making a pretty interesting move. Then I think there were a couple of the hacks that have happened with the Rari and the Fei token. So in general, some of these sort of kind of specific moments. I think Algo, actually, we saw a pretty interesting move yesterday in Algo on FIFA announcement. So news-related movements are still there, but overall market is pretty much correlated.
So I guess the question is, what will it take to bring Bitcoin to the next level, whatever that next level is, say, I don't know, 50,000. I mean, what would it take, do you think? Would it take something in the larger macro market, or would it be kind of something regulatory, or what would be the impetus to bring Bitcoin out of this range?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the ethos of Bitcoin being an inflation hedge. As again, I always call it, I'm so fortunate we live in this history, and during war, the role that Bitcoin has played, we saw that. Now it's an opportunity for us to see what role Bitcoin will play during these high inflation and central banks now changing their policies. So in my opinion, I think in the next 6 to 9 months, we will see an important role that Bitcoin will play as countries deal with different inflations. So towards second quarter or the third quarter of this year, I'm expecting a bounce back in the market.
Do you have a price prediction?
Unfortunately, we don't provide any investment guidance, so I won't be able to give you that.
All
But
right.
I am personally long on Bitcoin and other cryptos.
All right. Kapil, thanks for joining us. That was Crosstower CEO and co-founder Kapil Rathi. Coming up, raising crypto donations to preserve Ukrainian culture and checking in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day.
Hi, I'm Christine Lee.
Zach Seward.
I'm Michael Casey.
I'm Christy Harkin.
I'm Isaiah Jackson.
I'm Serena Lynn.
Hey, this is Will Foxley.
I'm Teresa Santos.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Lewitton.
Hi, I'm Dorian White.
I'm Nicolas Day.
Hi, I'm Kevin Worth.
I'm Jordan Muthra.
Hi, I'm Brad Count.
I'm Pete Paschal.
Hi, I'm Jen Sanasi. You're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching CoinDesk TV.
Hey, let's check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who's also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
So you were in Albany the other day as the state legislature weighed a crypto mining ban. What happened on the ground?
Yeah, so there was a small rally. A couple lawmakers spoke, a couple representatives from the crypto industry spoke. But it really seems this kind of very quickly put together event, mostly just to kind of say that, hey, here are some folks who are opposed to this 2-year moratorium bill that's passed the Assembly and is being currently considered by the Senate. And the hope is that first off, that this bill will be struck down or at least not voted on by the state Senate. And a competing bill that just calls for a task force to look at crypto and the environmental impacts it might have would be passed instead.
So what's the sense over at the Senate? I mean, do we have kind of like a guess of what the count will be, and how Senate leadership is currently approaching this? Do we have any indication of where that's going?
So we don't have anything firm yet. It does kind of feel like people are expecting this to go through eventually. A similar bill did pass through the Senate last year, not the Assembly. So there is some precedent here where you can say the Senate seems more likely than not to pass this, but at the moment, at least, this is currently just sitting in front of the Environmental Committee, which is going to take a look at that this week and vote on it in the coming days.
All right, we'll continue to monitor the situation. Nick, thanks for joining us. That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com. All right, as of mid-April, UNESCO has verified damage to over 100 cultural heritage sites in Ukraine since the Russian invasion began. Ukraine's Ministry of Culture and Information Policy are partnering with Everstake, a centralized staking provider, to raise money to save further churches, monuments, theaters, and art from destruction. Joining us now is Sergey Vasilchuk, CEO and founder of Everstake. Hi, Sergey. Thank you for joining us. So, first of all, my understanding, are you Ukrainian? And if so, is this, this must be a very personal partnership for you.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, I'm Ukrainian, and it's more the personal. You just see that somebody's barbarian destroying your culture. They're trying to kill your people, and this activity is not about just raising crypto or helping somebody. It's the question of the survival. survival, like Ukraine as a nation, like surviving the culture of the Ukrainian. But the Ukrainian culture is a part of Ukrainian like people and the country. So we cannot just distinguish like culture, like life, whatever. Freedom is like everything together. We have quite good experience with raising like donation crypto for the together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, like, and we result with more than 100 millions worth of dollars in the crypto. And probably like this example was like inspired like other government agency. And also like we had the conversation with some of the donation and organizations. They would say like, well, like we're not happy to donate money like which could go to the military, and sometimes it's again the policy, but we'll be happy like to help with to send money for the humanitarian needs or for the cultural needs for some restoration. And this trigger us to try to do the same activities to raise the crypto for saving our culture. Is how it was.
Do you have an idea of how much money has been raised so far in cryptocurrencies, and also, you know, the extent of the damage in Ukraine and how this money can help? Where does it go? Does it go toward reconstruction or preservation?
Well, this initiative with like culture saving just started. Probably if, this interview on the like CoinDesk will be the first like describing this event with for the Western part of the world. So far, as I said, like totally, like Ukraine raised more than 100 millions of USD in dollar words. So I hope some of this money could also be going to like Save Culture Fund. It's hard to judge how exactly we'll spend this money right now, but the damages are like billions, not even the millions. So if we'll be able to restore some church or restore some like museum or at least restore some theater, it will be just good enough like for this initiative. And the most impactful that I see here, that some of the donors like could see the results of his $1 or $1 million in some specific building or some specific case. So it will be also very like personal and very like addressable, not just donate for the like, you know, like Red Cross or UNICEF, which have no clue how like will spend and what results will achieve. It could be very like others donation.
So, Sergey, again, welcome. I know this is obviously it's been a tough couple of months here, but the war in Iraq and the wars in Syria showed that a lot of cultural heritage, the world cultural heritage, can be destroyed quite quickly and targeted, in fact, as it was in those two countries by ISIS and through just casualty of what had happened. How are you prioritizing what cultural artifacts, what cultural institutions, places, things are to be saved? Is there a sort of immediate threat that needs to be addressed? How is it being addressed? How does that money, as Christine asked, how does that money directly affect those things that are top priority at the moment?
Probably it's hard to judge for technical guys like me. So my role in this project is more technical part. Like I'm trying to do all the best to help our government to deal with the crypto, like to convert this crypto like for our like local currency and to make it happen. I'm not the person who will be prioritized. There is restructuring or recovery. Probably we can like have the interview with like our ministry of the culture a bit later. Right now, my goal is to spread the news that this is possible and to tell the people that they can like donate whatever $1 or $100 like to make it happen. But for now, it's still experiment.
Sergey, for a while at the beginning of the war, there was so much energy about cryptocurrency donations. And, we'd see these tweets constantly. We just raised another X million dollars. As this war has continued and, the news cycle keeps going on, are you seeing the same kind of momentum or have donations slowed down?
Yeah, I sure see the donation a bit slow down because people like exhausted with their financial resources, and our company and me personal is also the example. So we try to donate like more others, so people start to see what exactly their monies go on. So instead of like pulling just like thousands of the millions to just a fund, people asking, "Hey guys, like what priorities right now? How we can help like to achieve some very specific goals?" And if people will see the specific goals, they start to donate. So it's more like selective. But it's a bit slowed down, but it's still quite efficient. So the efficiency of the donation will still remain, but the volume of efficiency is like a bit decreasing right now.
I guess from a technical perspective, anything interesting you're seeing in terms of trends of where you're receiving funds from? Can people tax for charity or get their taxes exempt for charity donations? What are your insights on that?
Well, it will be the next level or next development of this fund. You should understand how it was started. Every Ukrainian wake up because of the news that some missile or some rockets hit their houses or hit their cities. And in those conditions, no one was taking care or even able to think about how to make it more legally structured. Everyone just tried to do all the best, to provide the resources to the military guys, to the medical, and other help. And sooner or later, after all Ukrainians was a bit recovered from the shock, we start to unite these efforts together under the umbrella of the Ministry of Digital Transformation. So at least we have had some legitimate source of truth for all the guys who trying to donate because before it was just nightmare, a dozen different wallets, people wasn't aware how to do it. So having this under the umbrella of the government and have some official wallets make it more easy. The next step, we had the conversation with our government how to structure it in the proper way to allow people to donate and to exclude from the taxation.
All right. We got to wrap it there, Sergey, but we appreciate you coming on the show. I'm so sorry for what your country is going to, and folks can hit up Everstake if they want to donate and save some of the cultural heritage there. Thanks for coming on, Sergey. That was Everstake CEO and founder, Sergey Vasilchuk. All right, let's check in with Crypto Twitter for our tweet of the day. And this one's from Falcon Wings NJ, tweeting, "All of you hating on Elon Musk, I don't see you bringing your mom to the Met Gala." Met Gala was last night. Elon making a very public appearance after buying out Twitter for $44 billion. Nice bringing out your mom. It wasn't Grimes this year, but nice bringing your mom. All right, that's it for our first mover. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Lawrence. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Meantime, check out the friendly folks at The Hash at noon Eastern and All About Bitcoin at 3 o'clock. You're watching CoinDesk TV. Also, next up, stay tuned for the daily forecast to see what's happening in the Asia crypto markets.
Anthony Scaramucci says China can't miss out on crypto. Welcome to the Daily Forecast, May 3rd, 2022. I'm Megha Chadha of Forecast, covering all things blockchain. Entrepreneur and investor Anthony Scaramucci has his sights firmly set on digital assets. The managing partner and Bitcoin bull of Skybridge, a global alternative investment firm, sat down one-on-one with Forecast editor-in-chief Angie Lau in the Bahamas in a wide-ranging interview. He says countries like China and the United States can't ignore cryptocurrencies because they are what the people want. We'll bring you his thoughts plus a whole lot more coming up. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world.
Join thousands of NFT traders who already start their day on CryptoSlam.
First, a blockchain update on the pitch. Algorand, a cryptocurrency platform, has signed a deal to become the official blockchain technology partner of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar and the 2023 Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. The cryptocurrency platform will assist FIFA in developing its digital strategy, including an official blockchain-supported wallet solution. Aside from Algorand, another blockchain firm and cryptocurrency exchange, Crypto.com, is among the official sponsors of the Qatar World Cup. The Men's World Cup is one of the largest sporting events in the world, with over 1.1 billion people tuning in at one point for the 2018 final match. Algorand's price jumped over 6% Monday overnight Asia time. Over in Japan, gaming giant Square Enix is inching closer to its goal of investing more in the blockchain technology. That's after the company has announced it is selling 3 of its gaming studios to Sweden-based Embracer Group for $300 million. This gives the Swedish publisher access to Square Enix game IPs such as Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and more. In its official announcement, Square Enix said the transaction enables the launch of new business by moving forward with investments in the fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. However, Yusuke Matsuda, president of Square Enix, acknowledged that existing gamers are skeptical of ventures in blockchain. Some gaming diehards have accused developers exploring NFT and blockchain ventures for neglecting franchises and potentially harming the environment. You can find those stories and a whole lot more at Focus.news. Anthony Scaramucci is a man who wears many hats: entrepreneur, author, investor, and yes, even for just 11 days, White House Communications Director. He has been an avid advocate of Bitcoin and digital assets. Focus Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau caught up with Scaramucci in the Bahamas.
China just came out, they said, hey, we're putting a pause on any enforcement on tech.
Right. Well, they have to. They have to. Why are they doing that?
For various reasons. But the big part of it is, if blockchain and crypto is going to be the next phase of growth, you can't have growth in blockchain without the underlying security called crypto.
So that's the point. See, they have to. They're not going to miss it. They're the second largest or the largest economy, depending on how you want to measure them. They've also got 1.3, 1.4 billion people. They can't miss this. They can't miss it. But here's the thing about this. This is about individualism, and this is about empowerment. And that makes the world sturdier. It makes the world safer. Think about the autocrat Vladimir Putin with all that central authority and all the damage he's doing to the world right now. Let's take the keys away from the drunk driving central bankers. Okay, what are you guys doing? Okay, let's take the keys away. You didn't handle the money right. Let's give the money to nobody. How about nobody can run the money? Let's have a decentralized process so no policymaker or politician can capriciously disrupt your money.
The full episode airs on Friday, so do check it out. Dogecoin rallying as much as 20% shortly after news that Elon Musk and Twitter had struck a deal for the outspoken Tesla CEO to buy the social media platform. The meme coin, which has been in and out of the crypto top 10 over the last few days, has repeatedly been hyped by the Tesla and SpaceX founder. How will not just Dogecoin but the rest of the altcoin universe move the markets? Let's get in the views from Benjamin Stanley of Matrixport, a crypto financial services company serving both institutional and individual investors. It's great to have you with us, Benjamin.
Good morning, thanks.
Benjamin, to kick it off, Dogecoin has been called people's crypto by Musk. He's publicly said that Doge could be used to make payments for Twitter services. Tesla already accepts Doge for some services. How do you see the Musk Dogecoin story shape up?
For me, Doge is the ultimate meme coin. It was created in 2013. That's almost 10 years ago now, as a joke. And then a few years later, the founders even abandoned the project. It became almost forgotten until about a year ago, when we had that whole Wall Street bet saga, and retail was betting big on meme stocks like GameStop and AMC. And actually some of them made big money. I think after that, they turned into crypto, that Reddit crowd, and they were looking for memes there too. So I believe it was around that time when Elon also took notice. And I think he liked what he was seeing at Wall Street Bets because of his experience with short sellers at Tesla stock and his relationship with the SEC. It was also right around that time when Elon flip-flopped on Bitcoin, first adopting it for Tesla's balance sheet, and then a couple of weeks later raising environmental concerns about the proof-of-work energy consumption. Ironically, Doge is also still on the proof-of-work standard, but I think that's another story. So I guess it's a long-winded answer, but I believe that Elon likes Doge because it's a joke. And he publicly said multiple times that history loves irony. So I think he just wants to turn Doge into something. And when the richest man in the world wants to throw money at something, in our nascent industry, that might actually just work out.
Talking about other coins, now if you look at the investment flow data from CoinShares, ETH has been grappling with net outflows for the last 3 weeks, bringing up the total so far for this year to almost $170 million. What explains this?
That's a good question, because if you look at the developments on the Ethereum network, these types of flows might actually surprise you. I was at the developer conference in Amsterdam 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you there, certainly nobody was talking bearish. Everyone was excited about the upcoming proof-of-stake transition and the progress they were making on layer 2 scaling solutions. One of the prominent L2s even recently announced a token drop. So at Matrixport, we're also seeing demand for ETH staking increasing, and we've therefore recently launched a leveraged staking product that offers a significant uptick versus the regular staking yield. But of course, you can't deny the numbers that you've just given me, and I think it makes sense to dissect who might be behind these flows. Taking a step back, I think what we've seen over the past couple of weeks is immense pressure on the equity markets, particularly the US tech stocks. And at the same time, we've also seen correlation between NASDAQ and crypto reaching new all-time highs. So I believe these outflows might just be asset managers that are just cutting their so-called exposure to risky assets. Basically, they're moving money out of crypto.
But ETH's loss has led to money flowing into altcoins like Avalanche, Solana, and Terra. So is this a reflection of shifting power balance in the crypto world? Are we moving away from the dominance of Bitcoin and Ether?
The flows that you've just mentioned, I would guess, are probably more from crypto-native funds. And these types of funds are still fastly growing. Because we're very early, and I'm a firm believer that the future is going to be multi-chain. So we at Matrixport, we support that multi-chain world, and we're expanding our product offering. We're continuing to launch a dual currency product for altcoins, and we've integrated 8 EVM chains in our DeFi custody already, and going to have Solana and Luna support soon as well. So I guess the answer to your question is twofold. I think multi-asset managers are gonna likely stick with the major ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum, for the near term, but I think the growing breed of new crypto funds, they're gonna cast their net much wider and will be embracing a wider range of coins and projects.
Benjamin, thank you so much for joining in with your insights today.
Thank you very much for your time.
And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Forecast Megha Chadha. Until next time.